community, my name is Ananta and welcome to the channel. You requested for this video so many times that I really wanted to make the answers concrete, and to help us with that we have Tarun with us. Tarun is in NLIU Bhopal and he's a second year student right now, and he is going to help us formulate a subject wise strategy for your CLAT preparation. Just a second before we move on. कोविड वापस बढ़ रहा है, हमें पता नहीं हम कोचिंग्स अटेंड करने के लिए वापस ऑफलाइन क्लासेस जा पाए ना जा पाए, एंड कुछ कोचिंग्स तो बहुत महंगी होती हैं, तो आई डोंट नो इफ आई रियली वांट टू बाय दैट सब्सक्रिप्शन ऑफ बहुत महंगी कोचिंग्स, एंड लेकिन इन सारी चीज़ों के कारण आपकी क्वालिटी ऑफ स्टडी शुड नॉट सफ़र, एंड आई हैव अ ब्रिलियंट अपॉर्चुनिटी हियर फॉर यू. अनअकैडमी के सब्सक्रिप्शंस गिव यू अनलिमिटेड एक्सेस टू ऑल देयर क्लासेस. You have top educators of India teaching you. The educators are themselves NLU alumni and practicing lawyers. And with that, it is very affordable. और अगर आप 14th मार्च से 16th मार्च के बीच में मेरा कोड अनंता V10 यूज़ करके एक सब्सक्रिप्शन लेते हो, then you get a straight away 20% डिस्काउंट. हाँ, लेकिन अगर आप थोड़े लेट हो गए हो, बट स्टिल अगर आप यूज़ करते हो अनंता V10 मेरा कोड, तो यू कैन गेट अ 10% डिस्काउंट स्ट्रेट अवे. और 16th मार्च को आ रहा है एक नया बैच, दैट इज द स्कोर बूस्टर बैच फॉर CLAT 2022 and 2023 aspirants. This batch will have educators who are alumni themselves of NLUs and they're going to teach you. आपको सारी क्लासेस लाइव अटेंड कर सकते हो. You can raise your hand for doubts and many more options. Go in the link below. और 19th मार्च को आ रहा है एक दूसरा बैच जो है DU Dream, that is a crash course batch for all the people aspiring for DU LLB 2022, and the educators in this batch also are NLU alumni and people who've practiced as lawyers. The third and the final that is coming on 19th March for CLAT 2024 aspirants by NLU alumni is Law and Order. So links are in the description. Go buy the course. Taking subscription of any batch using Ananta V10, you get it straight away 10% discount. लेकिन अगर 14 से 16 मार्च के बीच खरीदते हो तो you get it 20% discount. Don't miss this and don't get late. Let's welcome Tarun to the channel. Thank you, Tarun, for being with us here on the channel today.
Thank you.
Alright, are you at the hostel right now?
Yeah, I'm at my hostel finally after 1.5 years, like after waiting for this long. I finally in my hostel, enjoying the college life in a real world, because earlier it was just limited to a laptop screen and my room. So now I'm finally enjoying the campus.
True. So how are you finding the law school?
Law school is really good, because I had pretty idea, because earlier it was really difficult to see things, because it was just limited to computer screen. Professor used to come and just explain things. It was difficult to ask doubt, because once you complete this the topics, it was difficult to approach professors, although they were available, but you might no, because it is you have to call them at odd hours. They are you have to first see whether they are available or not. But here it is they are available all the times. And the seniors, the biggest thing is seniors and library. It was not available in the offline in the online mode, but now it is really good. Also the classes, the interaction with batchmates and seniors is also because law is not something which is static. You understand, you talk to people, you understand how they perceive law, and after having a discussion you understand it. So in online mode it was really difficult, but here it is very interesting, and now I'm finally learning the law, how the law is and what law exactly is. So now it is fun.
I can totally relate to that. What is that obviously you prepared for CLAT, so what is that one learning that that preparation time or that preparation journey gave you, that you कि हाँ ये चीज़ जो है ना याद रखने की होती है?
For me it is success is not destination, it is journey. So this is what I learned in my CLAT preparation, that if you feel that okay, this is something which I learned and now I do not need to work anymore, so this is something which I believe is a myth. And if you feel okay, this is what I have achieved, and if you stop there, so life won't be anymore any happening from that point of time. So in my opinion, life is success is a journey which you need to constantly work for that. So that is something what I learned throughout my CLAT preparation.
Right. Deep one indeed. Right. So only 1.5 month is left for the CLAT, this year's CLAT, right? And a lot of our viewers may not have started the preparation. What's that one tip that you would like to give to them?
For the people, those who haven't started preparation, I would say that go for the most scoring portions, because CLAT is not something which which follows a standard level for every question. So there are a lot of easy questions, there are a lot of difficult questions. So for them, I would suggest go for the topics which are easier to score. And because now you see the CLAT examination, so it is very reading intensive. You have to read a lot and their answers. And there are three sections. If you do not prepare a lot, but if you have fair idea about the subjects and you have good reading skills and you can comprehend well, so you can easily manage those sections. So I would suggest to target those areas. And then there is general, like a current affairs sections, so you can just follow some important topics. Like we had like a very happening year this time. We had Taliban, then we have Ukraine, Russia. So if you focus these topics, because there is a very high probability that they'll put this type of questions. So out of like 100 topics, if you can just like list some 10-20 topics and focus on them. I'm not saying that limit to them, but for the starting, you can just start those topics. And mathematics is something which you can like easily prepare. There are unlimited topics. You can start with ratio, proportion and all. So in this way, you can plan accordingly. Although there is a less time, but if it is something like something is better than nothing, so you can prepare accordingly and manage it. And for those who have started preparation, I would just suggest revision. Like revision is something which is very important and very crucial. So plan your revision as well, because now it is a time when people feel anxiety and all. Because sometimes we feel, okay, some people are getting marks and there is one or two marks where we don't score like well. So that is something we need to plan as well, because that could be a confidence breaker. So don't worry about that and prepare your revision module and do accordingly. And don't worry, it will be great.
Okay, so let's jump right into what we are here for, that is the strategy, subject-wise strategy for the CLAT preparation. Let's first talk about the giant of the paper, that is legal, because a major portion is legal and GK. So legal ke liye per se, what should we do? We can maybe talk about the sources here. We can also talk about some tips that you want to give कि इस तरीके से legal की strategy को plan out किया जाए. What do you think?
Yeah. So for legal was not very difficult for me, because it is not a very knowledge-based examination. If you see how consortium puts this, they don't test here like your legal knowledge. They don't ask you regarding sections. Okay, what is section 300? What is section 375? Basically, they ask you to formulate a proper reasoning that is very dependent on how you read the sections and how you like study the passage which is given and how you comprehend it, and how the particular thing is presented as an answer for the question that is asked. So if you like prepare exactly for the if you exactly like by heart the sections and don't understand how that has to be put in answers, so it won't be of any help. So for the earlier part of my preparation, I focused on deciphering the questions and then try to figure out how the answer would be presented for it. I spent a lot of time on analyzing the wrong answers, why this answer is not correct. Because once you find out that how the wrong answers are presented, it is easier for you to figure out the right answers. Because most of the people out of 4, they're able to like figure out, okay, that these two options would be the last one, because it is yes or it is no. So if you can figure that out and you just struggle with the reasoning part. So firstly, there are two ways people get confused. Either it is the language, or it is, if the language is kind of similar, they are not able to figure out what would be the correct way of putting it, because sometimes people just see the last part of the question, they don't see how the question is being put. So just focus on question and options as well. People generally focus on what topic is given and then they read the passage just to see if there is any new information which is given. So the question and options are of equal importance. Give time to them as well. This can be done in your preparation time as well, because if you're not spending a time, like substantial amount of time in your mocks and while preparing to understanding questions, it would be difficult for you to do the same in examination, because sometimes we see the similar set of questions repeating in our mocks. So sometimes we get used to seeing those questions and we don't put attention, like the required attention to the questions and the options. So if you follow these, then it would the legal section would be easier for you, because there are limited subjects which are limited topics, sorry, for the legal reasoning. So if you complete the substantial set of topics like murder, what is there in torts, what is there in contract, so it would be easier for you. These are not the limited topics, because now you see the legal section is also based on the current affairs. So they exactly put a portion from a newspaper cutting or from a online website, and they put it. So you can't prepare for everything. So basically, whatever you read, it is just there to make you aware about the legal language. Like, we don't follow exactly the similar English which we normally use in conversation in the legal field. That is, a legalese, we specifically we have the term legalese which we use in legal profession. So it is just there to make you comfortable with the language that you will be facing in a law school and you're in your profession. So just spend a good time making comfortable with the language. And for the specific syllabus, if you talk about, then there are coaching materials which you can directly refer to. And if not, then you can just make a list of like topics which you want to like study. Just make a headings like contracts, torts, criminal, IPR, because sometimes IPR becomes a bit of difficult thing to understand, because it has a lot of technical terms like what is patent, what is copyright, and sometimes people see that there's a question on IPR, but the topic talks about copyright, and then question is on trademark. So people feel that okay, they have read the portion correctly, and then they try to apply the same thing, but they're not able to decipher, okay, the thing is different which is being asked. So just see that the law is very specific on these things. So just read and get a bit of knowledge, like I won't get a bit of understanding, so you are not very like totally clueless while you read the passage on the very first instance. So these are the two things which I'll say how to prepare for legal. And if there is a question regarding sources, so I mentioned that you can either rely on some coaching materials, because they have a very structured material for the same. Instead of wasting time, I'll just say invest some resources. I won't say waste your money, but invest resources and get a structured module for the same, because instead of arranging the same, and you don't have much experience as well, what all things would be required. And as they have a structured source, it will be helpful for you to plan your preparation and divide like how much time you need to invest in the particular subject, so you can just get the same and prepare accordingly.
Right. You mentioned about torts, contracts, right? I got a lot of questions on some previous videos कि दीदी ये करना ज़रूरी है क्या, अभी तो पूरा reading based है, passage जैसे आएगा. So because you mentioned it, please also highlight कि कितना ध्यान देना है इन सारी चीज़ों पे.
Yeah, so basically I would say why it is important. Firstly, I won't say like whether it is important or not. I'll highlight why it is important. If you see it in examination, you'll have some clue. So it just helps you to like get in a comfortable position, because all that on that day would be how well you can like take the paper. It is not only the paper that you would be handling, but there would be a lot of pressure. If you see something new, it would be like putting extra pressure on you. So if you see these terms and if you're comfortable with those terminologies, it will be helpful for you to understand those things. You might have seen that there are two articles, one in Hindu and one in Indian Express, because the Hindu uses a bit of like complex vocabulary. So if you see the same thing in the Hindu and the same thing in Indian Express, it is easier for you to understand from the Indian Express. It is just a similar reasoning which we will be putting, that if you are aware of the terminologies, like what exactly nuisance is, and if you are aware, because what particularly they follow in legal reasoning is that they give you a passage where there would be a story, there would be certain connecting facts, and there would be a principle which would be hidden, implicitly put by the examiner. So if you know the exact ingredients which is there in nuisance or any set of topic, so you would be able to exactly like go through the topics and understand those those principles. So like a previous knowledge or preparation for the topics would helps you here. You do not need to understand exact word to word what the author wants to say. The same thing you might be seeing, like if you study like from the Bare Act, there is a section which is given. So it has a lot of punctuations and all. So if you're not aware of the punctuations, you will take a lot of time to understand. You will break the section. You will then how the words are being connected here, what are the two different things and what are the relations. So if you're not aware of the punctuations, it would be difficult for you. But if you're aware of the punctuations, it gets easier. The similar thing, if you're aware of the terminologies and the language, it gets easier for you to understand in an examination or in the mock. So it is just for you to make you comfortable. And the topics, to what extent you should read, just read to like just get the ingredients. If it is nuisance, what are the ingredients? If it is murder, then how it is different from culpable homicide, because there would be questions sometimes that if a person did this act and he had no knowledge of the same, whether it would be murder or culpable homicide. Unless you are aware of these two terms, there would be, although there would be an passage which would be given, but from that passage it would be difficult for you to decipher the difference between like culpable homicide and murder, because it gets really difficult for us in the law school as well to like differentiate the two. So just get an understanding of the topic so that you can understand the same from the passages which will be given in the examination. Don't invest a lot of time, just don't by heart all the sections. If like some people I have seen that they literally read this, they have started by hearting the sections. Okay, this would be like consideration would be given here and all these the definitions. They won't ask you the definitions, they'll just ask you to apply those principles. So plan accordingly.
Right. Also talking about GK, right? So the current affairs section, the first question that pops up is कब से कब तक करना है, because अभी तो वो 6 month वो 2 होंगे 1 साल के अंदर, so the time of the paper has changed. तो वो we will consider the time limit, कब से कब तक के लिए हमें current affairs करने हैं. Also अगर कोई 1 महीने में ही, अभी 1.5 महीने में ही prepare कर रहा है, how does that person cover those backlog?
Yeah, so answering the first, there are two parts which I have to address. First thing is what timeline we should follow. So for me, like to be on the safer side, just see the previous year CLAT examination to the like 1 week before the CLAT examination. That would be the safest timeline which I suggest. Then there are like this would be the timeline, but there are like peak areas, like something closer to the CLAT examination could be a scoring section, because there are a lot of highlighting news that come, and if you follow those areas, there are higher chances of the questions coming here, because examiner would be following the news and he feels okay, this is something which is interesting, and he puts it in the examination, so that the frequency of the period would be different. But yeah, just to be on the safer side, you can study the current affairs, because one thing which I learned in my CLAT preparation is that you can't prepare current affairs, you have just to read, because everything is linked. If you see the policies of United States in 2019, that has a significant impact on what happened in Afghanistan. If you see the policies of United States with reference to Russia and China, has a great impact on both of their strategies they're putting in Ukraine. The sanctions they have put on Iran and on Venezuela is playing a role on whether Russia would be sanctioned with oil resources or not, because USA has put that they would be removing sanctions on Venezuela and Iran before putting sanctions on Russia. So unless you know those things, it would be difficult for you to understand what they are doing right now. So just keep a track of the things from the very beginning. This is what I did while preparing for CLAT. But for examination point of view, these two time frames you can just previous CLAT and this CLAT. That would be the time frame which I would suggest. And how to study current affairs. Don't just buy hard things, because there would be options. That there are two things. Either you have to directly answer the question, that there is a question and you have to answer it. So there you need to buy hard the things. But then there is the pattern which we have for CLAT. If you have a clue for things, that there will be 4 options and you can eliminate. For elimination, you just need to have a subconscious knowledge of the same. You have read that this is the person who was the president of XYZ country. So you just do not need to by heart it for a very long time. You just see and make a mnemonic for the same, that okay, Barack Obama for USA. So just connect these two things with a clue. And if you see the same thing in examination, it should like click that this is the hint, and these two are the things which is being connected by the hint. So for me, this was the mode which I used for preparing for current affairs. There are certain things which need to be by hearted, like the headquarters, but then again I made certain connectors that if anything which is related to food or agriculture, the headquarter would be Rome. So it gets easier. You can create some exceptions as well. So exceptions, rules of your own helps you to prepare for CLAT. And being like CLAT is like current affairs, something which is very big. You can't cover it in any manner. So for the sources, like keep your sources limited, but revise them multiple times. Because if you see the sources like become repetitive after some time, you'll be seeing the similar news on every source. So just figure out what sources you would be relying and be like consistent with those sources. For me, it was I had 4 sources which I like did. One was the GK Today, then the other was a magazine from the Drishti IAS. There is it is free, like it is freely available. You can easily download it from their website. And the other one was the Cloud Affairs. And one thing which I used to rely on was the questions. So 3 sources for preparing for like current affairs, and the other source was for like answering questions. So there was one YouTube channel as well which was available at that point of time, was Study IQ. So these 3 for like preparing notes, and the other one was just to have a understanding of the subject. Because if you see the CLAT examination, there were certain questions which are not exactly question. They asked like what was the reason of the same which happened with the policy of America. So this over like holistic understanding of the subject also helps you to like get an understanding of the current affairs. So get like you can just select any of the YouTube channel. Right now I follow World Affairs of Prashant Dhawan. He's a brilliant teacher. He puts information in a very simplistic manner, and that helps you to grab portions. And the way he presents question, he establishes the relevance. This is one thing which I advise people: just don't read randomly. Firstly, establish the understand the relevance of the same from your examinations perspective. People just read various policies which are being various state starts, and they start by hearting the same. Firstly understand whether the same is relevant or not. And if you are just reading irrelevant information and wasting your time on the same, that won't be giving you any results. So when you start a preparation, just like for the people those who will be starting preparation, I won't suggest do this exercise, because here you would be having a structured set of topics. So just study the same, don't invest time, because this is something which I did in the early phases of my preparation, and that helped me to create my own notes and see whether these topics are important or not. But for the people those who will be starting, I'll just say get a source, either a coaching material or a compendium. If you want to have your own compendium, I would suggest that you can rely on Drishti ISS magazine. It is really comprehensive on the topics, and it will cover around 80 to 90% of the topics, because you can't score 100% of the marks in current affairs on any given day. So just prepare for the topics which could be foreseen easily. So for current affairs, have limited sources and revise on regular basis. Just create a cycle on the days you would be revising. I used to do a weekly and a monthly revision. On Sundays I used to revise what I did in a week, and on the last day of the month I used to revise what was the complete development in a month. You can also have a daily quizzes, because quizzes helps a lot to see, because if you see the similar set of questions and options appearing, so it gets easier for you to remember them. So daily quizzes and weekly and monthly revision helps in current affairs. So there are 2 keys: first make notes and revision for current affairs. If I missed on anything, you can just highlight and I would be addressing the same.
Yeah, the one thing was how to cover backlogs if one starts right now.
Yeah, so backlog thing, I would suggest start backwards. First cover the current affairs of February, then January in a backward manner. Then how you can do it. So I did mention it. Firstly, you can just either refer to coaching materials or a compendium, because now you can't prepare your own notes. So Drishti IS magazine is a very good source for that, because it has a structured manner of topics. They have a topic which are related to cultural events, then there are geopolitical developments, then there are national news. So you can do the same, but just keep one thing in mind, that the compendium is prepared from a UPSC point of view. So they have a very detailed analysis of the same. You can avoid analysis, just see the facts what are given, or you can specifically get a source which is exactly focuses on CLAT preparation. So these 2 things can be done. And right now you can do what you can do is you can just see the index and see whether this topic is relevant or not. Just establish a relevance and see what all can be done. So this is what can be done, can be advised for the people who are just starting right now.
Right. GK and legal we've covered. English may, obviously it's full of comprehending, but the paper is full of comprehensions. So let's now discuss about English. How do we prepare for comprehension that is automatically going to prepare us for the whole paper? and we'll also discuss कि vocabulary का role कितना बढ़ा या कम हुआ है, and how do we prepare.
Yeah. So firstly, what people should like, what I suggest is people should understand what basically comprehension is. Sometimes people feel that अगर आपने reading कर लिया है, that is comprehension. That is not, because then you have to see कि कुछ words होते हैं, they are individually they portray a different meaning, but if you put them contextually, then they show a different meaning. Then there are various things, like then there are like punctuations. So if a sentence is just written without a punctuation, it will have a different meaning, but if you put a comma, it will have a different meaning. So this is something which people I advise people that focus on these areas. Sometimes punctuations, prepositions and conjunctions, they get just they don't get sufficient attention from the students while preparing for CLAT preparation. So for English, usually what I suggest is firstly complete your grammar, because without grammar you can't have a clear understanding of what is being written, because grammar sets at the core of a language. So people like this is a questions you might have also got, that what, as we would be having a comprehension based examination, so what is the role of grammar, why do we need to address grammar? So starting language, first it starts from grammar. So complete your topics. Then there are very limited topics which you need to do, and they are very at the very basic level. So complete the same at very start. And now vocabulary. So basically, if you see the comprehension part, a passage would be like composed of various words. Unless you know what the word individually like conveys, you can understand the collective meaning of the entire passage. So then this itself shows how important the vocabulary is. So you can't avoid it. Then we have talked about grammar, we have talked about vocabulary, and then entirely what takes to prepare for comprehension. So what I'll suggest that you can start start reading reading passages what we see in newspaper articles, because the way they the present information is something which gets difficult for people to understand. So after completing the vocabulary and grammar part, I'll just address how you need to prepare for the English section, because mostly it is they don't ask direct questions, that there would be a line which would be given in the passage and you need to find and answer the same. You need to understand the same and apply either the reasoning, or you need to provide the reason for the same which has been done. So this can be easily done by practicing similar type of questions. For now, I'll suggest one of the website which is available, which is free of cost, that is GMAT Club Forum. It has a lot of passages, and the best part is it has theme-based questions as well. Sometimes people feel difficulties when they have like a passage which is related either to economics or something which is related to literature, because then there are some jargons which are there in the passage, and the way the information is being presented. So if you get accustomed to the set of the way they are presenting the information, it gets easier for you to understand and attempt the questions. So the website can be used by the students for preparing for English and as well as for reasoning. They have a very structured website. It is a bit complex, but you can just invest some amount of time and understand the same. It won't take much amount of time. Just 1 or 1.5 hours would be sufficient to just understand the interface of the website, and after which you can utilize the website for your preparation. So this is what can be done for English. Also there are there's something which I would suggest not to neglect, that is how idioms and phrases, because sometimes they can directly ask a question which is related to what does this idiom stand for, or what would be the meaning of this word. So don't just avoid them or just don't neglect them, because what I learned in my preparation is you don't prepare for the average crowd. Just like some of the people, they see, okay, these are the structured way, and for this, if I prepare for CLAT. Then you would be in the crowd which is like very average crowd. But if you want to excel, then you need to do something additional. You need to do extra. For that, what I had like my own checklist, which would be putting me separate from the crowd. So people can prepare their own list by analyzing the paper and analyzing what usually gets them wrong in exam in their mocks. or they can just follow this extra points like preparing for vocabulary, preparing for foreign phrases, because if there is a question, it gets you a lead of one mark directly. And 1 mark here, you might have seen that there are 10 to 20 people, just 0.25 marks. So 1 marks also count. Every mark count here in examination. So this is what I did for English.
Because you mentioned about GMAT here, I also wanted to discuss about CR and AR, right? So वो दोनों रीजनिंग की इम्पोर्टेंस की ये वाले को हमें कवर करना ही नहीं, बिकॉज मोस्टली वी सी की क्रिटिकल से ज़्यादा क्वेश्चंस आ रहे हैं. So how do we address reasoning as a section? And how do we formulate a strategy as well?
Yeah. So strategy is like very important for everything. If you just without a plan, if you just move it, you are just wasting your time, because many of the time you will be repeating the same things. You won't be learning. You won't be like absorbing the things which you invested time for. So strategy is important for everything. Now, importance of CR and AR. I would say that both of them are important, because they haven't been the consortium didn't say that we won't be asking questions from the same. And on the very first time, the pattern was changed, the sample paper which was released by the consortium, it contained questions relating to AR. So you can't just say, because they can put questions, and people can't just say that from the past 2 years you weren't putting questions on the same topic. So you can't just say, because if there would be a question, it would directly have 10 questions, because there would be puzzle of 5 marks, and there would be some questions which will either 2, 3 or 4. So there would be a bad thing if people don't prepare and they see in the examination. So don't just avoid them, because it is like the AR portion is very easy. If you just need to practice. There are limited topics, that distance, direction, blood relation, clock, and puzzle related questions. So if you just prepare well, the syllabus for AR could be completed within a week. But one thing which you need to do on regular basis is practice. Earlier, the pattern which we had, it had AR dominated AR dominated questions, but now it is more on the lines of critical reasoning based, because now they are preparing people, they are testing people who can understand the law, not just understand like what exactly the trend is, but what the language is, what is the reasoning behind the same, what is the development, why we are putting the same here. So if you see the critical reasoning questions, they are also on the same lines, that they put questions what is the reason of the same, what could be the correct solution for the same, not correct, but what could be the reasonable solution for the same, keeping in mind what are the situations prevailing at the time. So critical reasoning, this is what I feel like, what was the reason they introduced critical reasoning and why they are focusing more on the same. But you can't just put analytical reasoning on the back seat and focus on the same, focus on critical reasoning only. So critical reasoning has a limited syllabus. It could be done in a very short span of time, but you need to do a regular revision. For that, you can have a chart type of thing, where you can just put, okay, this topic would be revised on these days, and weekly revision would be sufficient for AR. And for CR, what my strategy was, I used to address the topics and do questions on the same. In my opinion, doing a lot of question on a topic without understanding the same does not work properly, because I have seen people who complete a topic, then they attempt 100 or 200 questions, and then they feel, okay, I have a good understanding of the topic. But what they usually do is that they try to by heart the questions. This would be the question, then this will be the answer, or the probability of the answer would be this. What would be this? But what I did for critical reasoning, I learned two things: elimination method and what exactly is reasonable for critical reasoning questions. So for reasonableness, you can get a hint from the passage, because the author would be presenting and he would be answering the questions based on the reasoning he has given in the passage. So if you can eliminate the wrong options and understand what is reasonable from the author's point of view, because for you it is difficult to create a reasonableness for the society, but the author might have created a standard of reasonableness, the way he has presented information and what would be his point of view and what he thinks would be the correct option for the questions. So get a hint of the same from the passage. So if you understand how to attempt questions, it gets easier, because then you just need to understand the concepts. And in critical reasoning, we have a limited set of topics, that assumption based questions, reasoning based questions. You need to either strengthen or weaken the arguments. So if you just get a hint that what exactly strengthening means and what exactly weakening an argument means, and you understand the question properly, then it becomes a piece of cake for you to like attempt questions for critical reason.
मैथ्स मुझे बहुत बुरा लगता था एंड अ लॉट ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स जिनसे मैंने इंटरेक्ट किया अभी तक जो प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं दे डोंट लाइक मैथ्स. हाँ, आई डोंट नो इट वाज गुड लाइक यू लाइक एंजॉय डूइंग मैथ्स और नॉट, बट तो मैथ्स का नाम सुन के वी डोंट वांट टू डू इट, राइट. वी लाइक यार 10 नंबर का या 15 नंबर का तो आने वाला है, लेट्स लीव इट असाइड. लेकिन उन लोगों के लिए स्पेशली जिनको नहीं पसंद है, DI के अलावा कौन से कुछ टॉपिक्स है जिन पे फोकस करना बहुत ज़रूरी है, what would that be? And did you like doing maths?
I did. For me, it is different story. I like numbers, but I don't like intervention of alphabets in the territory of numbers. So, this is something which I like in mathematics. I was good with calculations and all, so I was not very good with algebra. So I didn't do much on that, but I didn't totally like left it out. Okay, I won't be doing algebra because algebra gets it easier for you to like wherever there would be a hypothetical question, you need to like introduce algebra. But in CLAT, you do not get marks for steps. So what I did, I was good with numbers, so I used to like predict a number. Like sometimes if there is a question of percentage, you can have a number and like instead of X, Y or Z, you can just have a number and do entire calculations and substitute the number you would be needing. So for me, instead of putting alphabets, I had numbers because I feel numbers are like really friendly rather than alphabets. So for me, it was I like devised a method which helped me like to address algebra as well. Instead of alphabets, I used numbers. So it helped me to address the portion of algebra. Now coming on to the topic of maths in entirety. So if you see, DI is not a topic in itself. It contains like you have a percentage, like a question based on percentage, which would be in a word problem format, and then you need to solve it. So unless you understand what percentage is and how you solve questions related to percentage, you won't be able to solve it. And if you know percentage and you don't prepare for DI, you would be able to easily understand the questions, because then questions are related, that there would be a set of information. Instead of a direct questions, they have a layered questions, that there would be a graph given where you would be presented with, like they would be presenting information regarding a village or a XYZ thing, and you would be asked to solve numerically only. So what I did, I prepared these topics, like the basic topics like ratio, proportion, percentage, profit and loss, because mostly these are the topics which are presented in a DI format. Compound interest, simple interest. So get an understanding of the same. And what DI usually like does, they either have a pie chart or a bar graph, and information is presented in that. When you need just to get information in a simple manner so that you can perform mathematical operation on the same. So I did what I did. I divided the same in two ways. Firstly, I completed the syllabus of mathematics in a way that all the topics which are given, I completed the same. Then I like did practice of information. How does the information is presented? How to decipher the same. What does a pie chart means? How if it is 20%? So what mathematically it means? It would be 20%. If it is a population of 50, what would be 20% there? So just do these exercises. It helps you to understand graph, and you are able to complete mathematical topics and combine the same. Then it gets easier for you to like complete mathematics. And people who fear mathematics can easily mathematics is not very difficult, but the way we see and the way people portray it, that okay, this is very difficult, you need to like sometimes like alphabets are like sometimes they are scary, but numbers are really good. So this is what I did, and you like people can prepare prepare in this way, complete topics, and then get an understanding of graphs or the way the DI is presented.
We discussed all the 5 subjects, but I feel कि एक दिन में 5 सब्जेक्ट को कवर करना पॉसिबल नहीं होता है, क्योंकि दिस इज़ व्हाट आई फील, बिकॉज अभी तो लोगों के स्कूल भी चल रहे हैं, पीपल हु आर प्रिपेयरिंग विथ 11th और 12th. तो उस दिन में कि एक दिन में सारे सब्जेक्ट नहीं हो सकते, तो शायद वी नीड टू डिवाइड कि हाँ मुझे आज सिर्फ 3 या 2 सब्जेक्ट करने हैं. तो हाउ डू यू बाइफरकेट दो सब्जेक्ट्स, एंड व्हाट डिड यू डू, लाइक अ डेली शेड्यूल कैसा लगता था तुम्हारा?
So for me, like I also prepared with my 11th and 12th. So what I did, after the pattern changed. So for me, preparation was a 3 subject, like it was 3 subject for English, which contained like English, critical reasoning, and legal reasoning. Then there was current affairs and mathematics. But if you prepare for current affairs, you have to read a lot. So eventually, it became part of my like this the larger portion. So for me, it was 4:1. So if I prepare for one portion, I prepared like my preparation in a way. If I focus on one section, it should holistically contribute to other 3 or 4 sections as well. So for me, in this way, it was easier to plan my preparation. If I have to prepare for like 4 hours, so 1 hour would be for mathematics and 3 hours for a collective 4 portion study. So this was easier for me to plan. And if you just see what exactly they asked, they just changed the way they ask options, but exactly the like language would be same. You just have to comprehend what is given in the passage and apply the same on the answers. So for me, this is what I did. Now I used to do current affairs on regular basis. I used to read the Hindu articles from the Hindu and Indian Express. So editorial page was like something which I used to do on regular basis. It helped me with current affairs and a contextual understanding for English based sections. So people can do this. Otherwise, those who want to like do individual practice, just make instead of making a daily schedule, make a weekly one, because there you would be having a larger portion of hours which you can divide on equitably. I won't say equally, because some people are good with maths, so they just need to practice 1 or 2 hours in a week. Some people are not good with maths, but they are good with English, so they can give more time to mathematics. Some people are good with both, but they are not good with remembering facts, so they can give more time to current affairs. So there won't be a very specific strategy for everyone, but people can divide accordingly. Just have a way that these are, just find your strengths and weaknesses and then plan accordingly. So this would be the answer for the people for this question. And for me, it was a really good day plan because I had 4:1 time division.
Indeed, a lot of students had this kind of. I'm telling you, इतने सारे questions थे about this, but I really wanted someone who's done better than me, obviously, to be here and guide. And Tarun, I am sure a lot of people really found it helpful. If you like this video, make sure you like the button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll meet you the next Monday.